All right, we're in Baltimore now. We have changed locations. So we're at Baltimore. We're on Frontier airline flight. A Frontier airline flight. We're at gate here, Ford Delta, and this flight is going to Atlanta. Here, we're chasing some incredibly bad storms. Or let's say we're not chasing them. Let's just say they're chasing us. I'll give you an idea what they look like. So if you see there, and now if I put on weather, so that's what we've got going on here. We have some precip. I don't mind precip, but we've got some ugly things coming along the way here. So we'll see if we can get out of here. Already, I don't mind precip, but I don't like windy bad weather. Let's go ahead and start the alignment. Emergency lights armed. Beacon, wing, and nav lights all on. I'm going to go ahead and start the APU. APU bleed, master switch, and so the APU is coming up. And that should cut over pretty quick because we won't need the other power. Sanjay, can you go ahead and get our IFR clearance from clearance?
I'll get our IFR clearance from clearance now.
Okay, we're going to go in net.
Baltimore clearance, Frontier flight 1079. We'd like to receive our IFR clearance with Romeo.
One thing I haven't done yet, SimBrief downloader. I haven't.
Clearance on request.
It may or may
Stand
not
by.
be necessary, but I do it anyway. Okay. Right. Okay. Init request. Bam.
Frontier flight 1079, Baltimore clearance, cleared to Atlanta via the TERPS 8 departure. Then is filed. Climb and maintain 4000. Expect flight level 38010 minutes after departure. Departure on 128.7 squawk 2111. Expect runway 28.
Alright, no surprises on the runway. Our departure on 28. Terp. He has us coming at, going out on. Hold a second here. And Terp and Flask. Takeoff here. Condition of the run, everything is wet. So we're going out on a Flex 58 on 444447. Flaps are set at 1 up 0.1. Okay. It's going to take about another 6 minutes for alignment. That's what's going to take the longest. Wow, we got a lot of precip here. I'm just seeing a lot on the screen. So that's the biggest thing is we need to be careful.
I'm parked at B7. I have information Sierra. Ready to copy
QNH is 3017.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by.
Been cleared to Sangster via the Clone 5 departure. Radar vectors mostly then as filed. Departure runway 28, initial climb 4,000. Departures on 119.0, squawk 6325.
Right. We're loaded.
Read that correct.
We're going to push back, but we're going to wait till we're fully aligned before we start moving all over the place here.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go. Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
So I'm fairly certain we're not going to end up in the desert on this flight. That's some good precip though. Look at that.
Some doors are still opened or the GPU or the ASU are still connected. I'm waiting for all of them closed and disconnected, then I will proceed.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
There'll be a lot of peanuts on this flight. You know, I was on a flight from where was that one? Miami to Comayagua. It's been last year, and I had the best pasta salad I've ever had in my life. I got to sit in business class because of who I was traveling with, and that was the best. I've never been able to duplicate it. The funny thing about it is I'm not a pasta salad guy.
Tow connected and bypass then inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
I'm going to go ahead and start engines, but Sanjay, you're in charge of all comms.
I'm in charge of comms now, Steve.
I'll have your clearance.
Would you please get our pushback and start clearance?
Baltimore clearance, good morning, Mission Elting Hotel. Looking to pick up.
I'll request pushback clearance from ground now.
With Quebec.
I've already done a pilot deviation, and we haven't been on the ground for 10 minutes.
With information, Delta request IFR to Reagan.
I've had to fly out of BWI several times when I was in DC, and I guess it's an okay airport. It's easy, kind of easy to get in and out of. I'm not going to move much further until I'm fully aligned. If you notice, not quite there yet.
Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, I've already set auto brake max. Ground spoiler is armed and flaps are set to 1. QNH is 30.17. And we're being chased by a storm that's coming in, I think, that's got some nice little red cells in it. We want to get out of here. Okay. How much more time we got on alignment? Okay, we're almost there.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you. Taxi lights are on. Alright, I'm putting the crew back to work. I had my mentor on Say Intentions, but we're going to go back here to Say Intentions. Channel 2. I'm going to put my cabin crew. And we're going to put our grade A professionals on it here. Okay. Peanut. Oh my word. Fuck. Baltimore is kind of a rough, or like a kind of gruff place. They got an awesome aquarium there, but not a nice place. Sanjay, you can get our taxi clearance.
I'll request pushback clearance from ground.
No, we've got pushback clearance. We need taxi clearance.
I'll request taxi clearance now.
He sometimes forgets.
Baltimore ground, Frontier flight 1079, requesting taxi clearance. We have Romeo.
Make sure I got my direction straight.
Frontier flight 1079, runway 28, taxi via Alpha 1, Tango uniform 1.
Okay.
Runway 28, Alpha 1, Tango uniform 1, Frontier flight 1079.
Alright, that makes sense. Let me see if I can follow it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Frontier Airlines, Flight 1079, departing
Gotta
from
keep to
Baltimore
the
and
left
flying
here.
to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Our estimated flight time is approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes. We kindly ask that you pay close attention to the upcoming safety demonstration, as it contains important information even for our frequent flyers. Please fasten your seatbelts by inserting the metal fitting into the buckle and pulling on the strap to tighten. To release the seatbelt, simply lift the buckle. Remember, your seatbelt must be fastened whenever the seatbelt sign is illuminated. At this time, please return your seat backs and tray tables to the upright position and ensure that your window blinds are open for takeoff and landing. All mobile phones and electronic devices
Those
must
wipers
be
are
set
so
vibrate.
annoying,
Larger
but
devices
yeah.
such as laptops should be securely stowed during takeoff and landing. Please note that smoking and the use of e-cigarettes are prohibited anywhere on board, including the lavatories. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen mask will drop from the panel above you. Pull the mask firmly towards you, place it
check my
mask
map
before
here.
assisting others. Life vests are located under your seat. To use, pull it out, place it over your head, and fasten the strap. Inflate it only after leaving the aircraft.
Slight right
Special
here.
life vests for children are also available. Floor level lighting will guide you to the nearest exit, which is clearly marked. There are 2 exits at the front of the cabin and 2 at the rear.
And then we got a
The nearest
slight
exit
left.
may be behind you. In case of an evacuation, please leave all personal belongings behind and follow
Frontier
all
Flight
safety
1079,
instructions
contact
from
tower on
crew and
119.4, take care.
If we need to brace for impact,
Switching to
please
tower
leave
on
forward, head down,
119.4,
and your arms
Frontier
come
Flight
in hand.
1079.
It's important to follow crew instructions at all times. For more details, please refer to the safety information card located in your seat pocket. Thank you for your attention, and we wish you a pleasant flight.
Baltimore Tower, Frontier Flight 1079. Good evening, we're holding
clear what you
short
said.
of
Say
runway
again.
28, ready for departure.
Okay.
Frontier Flight 1079, Baltimore Tower, runway 28, winds 220 at 4. RNAV JLM cleared for takeoff.
Runway 28, RNAV Jalen cleared for takeoff. Frontier Flight 1079.
Sanjay, could you go ahead and do the takeoff brief?
We are departing from runway 28, flying the Terps 8 departure, climbing to 4,000 feet initially. Transition altitude is 18,000 feet. Weather looks clear. In case of engine failure below
No,
400
it's not.
feet, we'll continue straight. Above 400 feet, we'll follow the engine out SID. Procedure. Squawk code is 2111. Departure frequency 119.0. Flaps set to 5. V1 is 142 knots, VR is 147 knots, V2 is 152 knots. Climb out at V2 plus 10 knots. Ready to go, Steve.
Okay, Sanjay, the only thing I would add to what you said was it's not dry. Weather is rainy, and we're chasing, or we're trying to get away from some sails, so we're on our way out the opposite way of the sails, but the weather is very wet.
Noted, Steve. We'll keep an eye on the weather as we depart.
All right, now we'll bring up the landing lights. Runway lights are off, and nose light is up. Flaps are at 1. Ground spoilers are armed, and auto brake is at max. We're ready to go. Always take a quick look to your left to make sure nothing's coming, because Traffic Global doesn't talk to ATC. And we're good. Alright, lining up. We're taking off.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare for takeoff, please pay attention to the following safety instructions. Your safety is our top priority. Please ensure that your seatbelts are fastened, your seat backs and tray tables are in the upright
We hit 80 knots. I didn't call it. Sorry.
All electronic devices should be set to flight mode. In case of an emergency, oxygen mask will drop from the button. Please
V1,
secure your own mask
rotate.
before assisting others. Thank you for your attention, and we wish you a pleasant flight.
Positive rate. You're up. Autopilot engaged.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact departure on 119.0.
Flaps retracted.
Contacting departure on 119.0.
Thrust climb.
Frontier Flight 1079. Departure, Frontier Flight 1079, evening, climbing past 1500.
Frontier Flight 1079, Potomac departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain
Ground
4,000,
spoilers
turn left,
disarm.
heading 260, vectors to once, then is filed.
Auto brakes automatically come off.
Climb and maintain 4000. Left heading 260, vectors to 1, then as 5. Frontier Flight 1079.
Vectors to once.
Frontier Flight 1079, climb and maintain flight level 210.
Climb and maintain flight level 210. Frontier Flight 1079.
Vectors to once. Okay. That doesn't look good.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact Reagan departure on 119.85.
Switching to Reagan departure on 119.85. Frontier Flight 1079. Reagan departure, Frontier Flight 1079, evening climbing to flight level 210 from 5000.
Frontier Flight 1079, Reagan departure, good evening, date and altimeter 3016.
I'm ready to get out of this weather.
Altimeter 3016, Frontier Flight 1079.
Right, we're at almost at 9,000 already, but we're really kind of on a aggressive ascent or a climb.
Frontier Flight 1079, climb and maintain flight level 270.
Climb and maintain flight level 270. Frontier Flight
10,000.
Dear guests, we have now reached a safe altitude. The lavatories are now available for your use. You may also use approved electronic devices in flight mode. Cabin service will begin shortly, so please sit back and relax. Thank you for your attention.
Still unnerving when you can hear the jet, the engines on the planes that are around you. It sounds a lot closer than it is. So, we're going in the, oh crud. So we're on the Terps departure, but we're going to be going through some bad cells. I don't know how to avoid them. really can't. There's just no way. There's nowhere for me to go to avoid them, except to keep coming above them, getting higher above them. Poor raccoon out there on the wing. Keep the seat belts on. We're in some rough weather until we get a little higher. I would just keep your seat belt on.
Climb and maintain flight level 330. Frontier flight 1079.
Understood, Captain. I will inform the passengers to keep their seat belts fastened due to the rough weather.
I forgot to put the ignition back. Okay. Okay. Almost liked it better when I had the lights on. Front, you can kind of see what's going on.
79, contact Washington Center on
Okay.
135.525.
I'm staying. I'm going to keep climbing. Hopefully, I'll. Yeah, I think we're a little bit aggressive on the climb. We're at about 33. Yeah, we're at about 3,000 feet per minute on the climb.
Frontier Flight 1079, Washington Center. Good evening, Gaithersburg, altimeter 3015.
Altimeter 3015, Frontier Flight 1079.
Okay, transition to standard. Once we get above some of this, it's a pretty straight shot to Atlanta. Yeah. I don't think when we come out of the bad weather. It's also we're in Virginia, we'll be in it, and then as we get into North Carolina, it starts getting a little better. Well, should be okay.
Frontier Flight 1079, climb and maintain flight level 370.
Climb and maintain flight level 370. Frontier Flight 1079.
Okay, we're coming in on 26 right. Aussie and Flask. No surprises there. That gives us a pretty straight in approach. So coming in on Aussie would literally, I like this arrival because we end up just literally descending, making a right turn, and we're on final. No transition. A little bit of wind in our face. It's kind of almost a crosswind. We should be okay. Yeah, Baltimore's it's not a nice city. I used to live in Fredericksburg and worked out of Woodbridge, and it was That's about as close to DC as I wanted to get, but it was nice.
Flight level 380.
Climb and maintain flight level 380. Frontier flight 1079.
I was paying no attention to what he just said. Basically to 380. Okay. This ought to go pretty fast. We're about 454 miles outside of Atlanta. I'm sorry, Luke. I was slow. I just caught the peanut vodka. Okay. All right. Welcome aboard. Hope everybody's having a good night. So Rough Landing was with me earlier when I ended up having a little problem with reversers and ended up landing in a desert. I tell you what though, there was a lot of space in that desert. $270, got another 10,000. All right, so we're on the climb. Yeah, kinda. It's kinda like that. Although I think I had trouble getting my speed down on the descent and kind of porpoised a little bit. I kind of ballooned it. Porpoised a few times. Yeah, this is the part of the flight that starts slowing down a little bit, but we have about 10,000 feet more. It actually has eased up. Let me see. Look at the weather. Yeah, I think we're at. We have a little bit of precip, but we're primarily above the weather right now, or above it. Anybody that, if you have say intentions, you can track this flight. You actually they have a neat tool to track with. So that's what it felt like. Captain Steve was talking about a recent flight that it may have been the 747, the one that ended up like messing up like on landing, but he claims that it looks like that it was porpoising, that it got in that dangerous cycle of porpoising, like up and down and up and down, and that's what actually caused all the damage. And actually it killed 2 people, killed 2 like of workers that were on the airport, like somewhere on the servicing or maintenancing one of the fences or something there at the airport, but it porpoised. I was just saying, I was just going into Kamiyagwa just last month, maybe about 3 weeks ago, and I think I experienced one of the hardest landings in a 737-800 I've ever had. If I want to say that the back wheels, you know, it had to have been 900 feet per minute. It was hard. I've never landed that, been in a plane that landed that hard before. Yeah, the one in China. I think that's what Captain Steve was saying. He's a good one to follow. I'm sure all of y'all follow Q8 Pilot, Q8 Pilot also, and the Flying Scotsman. In fact, I fly for Alpaca, fly for the Flying Scotsman's Airlines. That's a good airline. Yeah, that China flight, yeah, that it does. That was, gosh, can you imagine messing up a plane like that? I think because it was a leased plane. Yeah. Yeah, that's the worst feeling. Spent a number of years ago, I was, you know, yeah, he's cool, isn't he? Something about just having an accent that just makes him better. But yeah, he is. Now he's an actual pilot, isn't he? I think Flying Scotsman's actually a pilot, and Q8's not an actual pilot, I don't think, but man, he sure does a good job with his channel. Flying Scotsman's airline, the Alpaca, very strict about what they expect, and about how they rate you on each, you know, takeoff and landing, and your cruise and your descent. So they're a little, they're it kind of pushes you, kind of to make sure you know, dot your I's and cross your T's. Right, we're 405 miles out. Yeah, one thing I'll say about the 737-800, the back landing gear, wow, man, that's a tough plane. The only thing that kind of spooked me was we landed in Kamiyagwa, and that's a regular flight. It comes in from Miami. It's about a 2 hour and 40 minute flight to go from Miami to Kamiyagwa in Honduras. And when it lands, it picks up and goes straight back to Miami, and it's a regular route that goes back and forth. And all I kept thinking was, that's the same plane that landed so hard it felt like it shook the landing gear off when I got back on that plane. The reason, though, that the landings are sometimes harder at that one, the airport's called Palmarola. If you ever want to try a difficult airport, it's MHPR. I think it's the airport, MHPR. Palmarola is a RNAV only runway. They don't have ILS, so you're completely on your own on RNAV to come down on RNAV. You don't have any help. You don't have a localizer of any kind to get lined up, so you're either on it or you're not. And it's so I have to think that's not the first time I've had a tough landing, but that was a really just a harder than usual landing. Right, we're at 370. We're almost under cruise altitude. We might pick it up a little bit. I don't know. Let's see what's our speed now? 0.66, 766. Let's see what it does once it gets leveled out. If it's up around 0.8, Mach 0.80, I'm not going to try to up it a little bit more. That's about as fast as we can go. The Toliss A321neo, this particular aircraft, I would say if you, for Xplane, I think it's like a staple plane. You want to fly this plane. It's really a good experience. And this is the Toliss A321neo. I would say the same for the Toliss A330-900. And I haven't flown, isn't there a new Toliss A320? I have not tried yet, but I thought it would probably be so similar to my A321. I'm not sure I'm going to get it. Yeah, I think that's okay.
We have some popular items from our menu, including our delicious pretzels and refreshing soft drink. After the service, we will also have selected items from the Frontier Airlines shop available for purchase. Thank you for your attention, and we hope you enjoy the flight.
All right, we're at 380. At our flight level. We're 377 miles from Atlanta, and we're less, probably 30 minutes from our descent, maybe 30, maybe 40. Alright, so my co-pilot is Sanjay. He is part of Say Intentions, and then the flight crew, my grade A flight team, is a part of Say Intentions. My traffic is from Traffic Global. Alright. Let's go ahead and do our performance numbers. Landing config is going to be full. Runway condition is, we'll say wet. Right now, I'll change it if I have to, but it's wet. I think it's wet. And brake mode is going to be medium. QNH is 3013. Temp is 17. Flaps will, or excuse wind 190 at 5. And decision height is 300. Okay. We are 350 miles outside of Atlanta, and we've got our performance numbers already entered. Right, and I'm gonna go ahead and set our descent altitude to transition. To leave it on transition. We may have left the bad weather, you see. We have. Okay. I probably overreacted to put wet for my calculations. I could go back and put dry and see if it makes a difference. Let me see. It doesn't. It doesn't make much of a difference at all. We're not even going to be using half the runway. Okay. Alright, we're currently at 380. Our distance outside of Atlanta is 334 miles. we're I still got a little bit before we descend.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact Washington Center on 133.575.
Switching to Washington Center on Washington Center Frontier Flight 1079. Good evening, maintaining flight level 380. Washington Center Frontier Flight 1079. Good evening, maintaining flight level 380.
Frontier Flight 1079, Washington Center, good evening.
So when I was my last flight I took to get back to Greensboro, of all the flights it could be, it was flight 1096. 1096 is a 10 code for mental subject. This flight, this is Frontier Flight 1079. 1079 is the 10 code for deceased person. Alright. Let's get some back views. And if y'all want to see the interior, it's a little bright in here. I don't like these seats. Is that a Frontier thing? Like they look more not as cushiony. Okay. Let's check our Alright, we just came out of the bad weather and things should dry up now. We're about to drop under 300 and closing out on the airport. We're currently at 380. Check the QNH out.
Hey, Captain, would you and First Officer Brian like anything to drink or a small snack? I'll make you the strongest one, just in case we do an extra lap today.
That sounds good. Half and half only in the coffee and something sweet.
Understood, Captain. I will prepare half and half for the coffee and something sweet for you and First Officer Brian.
Oh, my co-pilot is Sanjay.
Understood, Captain. I'll make sure to keep that in mind.
see where our top of descent is. Right here. And that's the commencement. So Wilson, when we get to Wilson, that will be the commencement of our descent. Should be around Wilson. Okay. It's gotten kind of quiet up here.
American 065 ready for the check. American 065 ready for the check. American 065, say again your request, please.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and have them leave seat belts on. Okay. Oh. All right, we're still at 380, but that will be changing sometime soon. We're as soon as we get to the Wilson waypoint, that's probably when we'll start our descent.
Expect the Aussie 1 arrival. Last transition. Descent in about 20 minutes. If you'd like to descend now, just say the word.
No, I don't need to.
Expect the Aussie 1 arrival, fast transition. Descent in about 20 minutes, Frontier Flight 1079.
Our descent's in about 20 minutes.
Understood, Captain. I will prepare the passengers for our descent in about 20 minutes.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact Atlanta Center on 124.425.
All right.
Contacting Atlanta Center on 124.425. Frontier Flight 1079. Atlanta Center, Frontier Flight 1079, evening, maintaining flight level 380.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta Center, good evening.
All right. We're about 15 minutes outside of descent. Let me see. So we're 43 nautical miles from Ye Old, 45 from Shoal, 31 from Dunn. I guess that'd be about right. see. At the airport that we're coming into is a Nimbus custom airport. So the Atlanta airport's custom, and really nice. I think they did such a good job on it. It really looks like the actual airport. Even the hangars, the Delta hangars, where they do a lot of their work, they're just really, really believable. Okay. One thing I'll say about this particular model, like this A321neo, is it descends really very managed. It's very, very managed and deliberate. It's not. It doesn't like build up too much momentum. Gosh, we're already past Flask. Okay. I had a rough time with the 777 today. It really is taxing my system, and I've got to figure it out. I just thought it's a great plane, but I don't know what's up. I may experiment and try my 777 at a non-custom airport, because LFPG Charles de Gaulle is a custom airport, and with really a lot of things that look nice there. But Atlanta, Charlotte, and LAX are all custom airports for me. Alright, we're close. Close. So Wilson's my trigger to start descending, like beyond Wilson or around Wilson. Okay, we're getting close. Close. Okay. We're about to finish out Yeld. We're heading to Shaw and T Dunn. And when we get to Wilson's, when we'll descend. Excuse me. What's our distance out? We're about, oh gosh, we're still 222 miles outside of Atlanta. Got plenty of time. Go. Pretty straight shot. Who we got? We got American Airlines out there, Delta, 2 American Airline flights. I'm very tempted to compress time a little just to buy 15 minutes, but I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Come on, we gotta go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cardinal roll. Don't rush. Do not rush. Alright, we're 17 miles outside of Shaw, 31 outside of T Dunn, and we're getting close. I can finally see top of descent. Okay. But our trigger is Wilson. We get to the when we're heading toward Wilson waypoint. Okay. Alright, so it's 10:03 Eastern time. It feels later today. It feels much later. Right. Wow. All right, we're getting close. See what our distance outside is, and we're still technically about 20, well, maybe about 36 miles from top of descent. Yeah, we're about 165 miles out. Right, we're 11 miles from T-Dun. That'll put us, after that, we'll be on the Wilson, which is a part of the Aussie 1 arrival, and that's where we will request clearance to descend if they don't clear us, if they don't tell us to. All right. Sanjay, would you please request clearance to begin our descent on the Aussie 1 arrival?
I'll request descent clearance for the Aussie 1 arrival.
Atlanta Center, Frontier Flight 1079, requesting clearance to descend for the Aussie 1 arrival.
Frontier Flight 1079, descend via Aussie 1 flash, transition into Atlanta, altimeter 3012.
Descend via Aussie 1, flash transition into Atlanta. Altimeter 3012, Frontier Flight 1079.
Okay, we're starting our descent. I'm going to let the Airbus do most of the VNAV managed descent for me. It knows where the our limits are, or where our restrictions are.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now left our cruising altitude and are beginning our approach to Atlanta. At this time, we kindly ask that you return to your seats, stow your tray tables, and fasten your seatbelts. Please note that the use of the lavatories is no longer permitted. Thank you for your cooperation.
Airbus 320 Sierra Bravo, Atlanta Center, good evening.
Alright, we're on a slow descent right now. We're at about 360. Just doing a slow and deliberate descent. We're at about 1,000 feet per minute on a descent rate. Slow and deliberate. We are 129 miles outside of Atlanta. I put about a 21-mile buffer in our descent. I always like putting a little bit extra in there. All right, we're on a slow descent right now. We're at about 320. We're about 100 miles outside of Atlanta. Yeah, 109 miles, and we have a rather straight-in approach, so we're coming down till we're even with runway, take a right, and we're on final. So rather easy, kind of an easy approach. Go around's 3,000. Decision height is 300, I think, on this one. Sanjay, would you brief our approach, please?
We'll be arriving in Atlanta on runway 26 right. Using the ILS approach, we'll be flying the Aussie 1 arrival fast transition. Transition level is 18,000 feet. Weather at arrival shows winds 190 at 5 knots. Few clouds at 5,000 feet. No significant weather expected. In the event of a missed approach, we'll follow the published missed approach procedure. Squawk code remains 2111 and approach frequency will be 118.8. We'll configure for landing with flaps 30. Final approach speed will be 135 knots. Once on the ground, we'll be taxiing to gate concourse D1. I think we're ready for the arrival, Captain.
I agree. Alright, we're at 290 on a managed descent. We're 96 miles outside of Atlanta. We'll be coming in on runway 26 right. Okay. And rough landing, you threw out some familiar names to me. Or a familiar name. And okay. 250. Our transition is 180. 18,000. QNH is 3013.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact Atlanta Center on 134.8.
Contacting Atlanta Center on 134.8. Frontier Flight 1079.
We're making good time, and by the way, our speed, everything's just where it should be.
Evening, descending to flight level 240.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta Center, good evening.
Brakes are going to be set to medium. There's nothing else I need to do right now, but we're good. Alright, we're at 210, continuing our descent. Our speeds vary, manage and control. When we get to 10,000, we have to be under 250. transition altitude is 18,000, so we're switching over to coming off the standard altitude. We are 53 miles outside of Atlanta. We have a transition coming up. What's that? Alright, we are about 45 miles outside of Atlanta. I'm about to transition to our configuration to approach configuration.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta Center, contact Atlanta approach on 124.6.
Switching to Atlanta approach on 124.6. Frontier Flight 1079.
We just activated approach phase.
Atlanta approach, Frontier Flight 1079. Good evening, we're descending to 16,000.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta approach. Good evening, Atlanta, altimeter 3016, cleared Hines transition. Expect the ILS runway 26 right approach into Atlanta.
Right.
Altimeter 3016, cleared Hines transition. Expecting ILS runway 26 right approach into Atlanta. Frontier Flight 1079.
And landing lights are active. A little early, but I went ahead and activated.
American 1248, climb and maintain flight level 320. Maintain flight level 320, American 1248. American 1248, contact Atlanta Center on 135.0. Atlanta Center on 135.0, American 1248.
Could actually use some help. That would be nice.
All right, let's. We're about to. We have a slight left coming up here. We're 35 miles from the airport, but we have to set up for final. That's coming up. Alright, there we go. Slight left. We're right at 10,000. We should be slowing down just a little bit more. When we get to 240, I will go to flaps 1.
I will ensure the crew checks that everyone is seated and has fastened their seatbelts. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now beginning our final approach into Atlanta. Please turn off all electronic devices and stow them until we arrive at the gate. Kindly return your tray tables to their upright position. Ensure your seats are fully upright and fasten your seatbelts. Our assigned gate is Concourse D1. Thank you for your cooperation as we prepare for landing. We will be landing shortly and we appreciate your attention.
Alright. Flaps are at 1. And we'll have a transition coming up here. We'll make a right turn. That should put us on our 260. Well, we got a little bit more, but when we get to Zelo is the waypoint for that. Flaps are at 2. We're about 7 miles from Zelo right now. When we get to Zelo's, when we make the right turn on the 26, basically the 26 right path. See the airport out in the distance there. One of the busiest airports in the United States, that will be Atlanta. What we used to say about Atlanta is if you want to get to heaven, you got to go through Atlanta. Uh, 2.2 miles from Zelo. Our flaps are at 3. about to activate approach. And approach is activated. Right, we're lit up like a Christmas tree. We're on, how far out are we? What exact distance? We're still 18 miles out, so we won't drop gear until about 8 miles from now. Flaps are at full. Auto brake is set to medium. Ground spoiler is armed. We're looking for a Cat 3 capture.
Frontier Flight 1079, proceed direct bamboo. Descend and maintain 4000 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 26 right approach.
Direct bamboo. Descend and maintain 4000 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 26 right approach. Frontier Flight 1079.
We are on dual Cat 3.
Frontier Flight 1079, contact Atlanta Tower on 119.1.
Atlanta Tower, Frontier Flight 1079 evening. We're established on the ILS approach for runway 26 right.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta Tower, roger. Continue approach runway 26 right.
Alright, we've captured, we're 3,800 and descending, and also the
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta Tower, winds 190 at 5. Runway 26 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 26 right. Frontier Flight 1079.
elevation here is 750. Right, but
2,500.
final.
2000.
Flaps are full. Decision height is 300. Just as we land here, to the left is the tower, but also it's the hub for Delta, I think. So you should see a lot of planes they're working on inside of the hub there. This is where Xplane 12 shines. This right here, the way it looks, the nighttime sky, nighttime terrain is believable, very believable.
$500. 400.
100 above.
300.
Minimum.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. Retard. Drive.
Get the front nose down.
Frontier Flight 1079, welcome to Atlanta. Contact ground on 121.65.
Switching to ground on 121.65. Frontier Flight 1079. Atlanta ground, Frontier Flight 1079, evening runway clear. We're ready to taxi to the gate.
Frontier Flight 1079, Atlanta ground, taxi to Concourse D Gate 1 via Bravo, Bravo 6, hold short of runway 8 right, then Echo 5, Foxtrot 5, 5 northwest, 5 southwest. Have a good evening.
Taxi to Concourse D Gate 1 via Bravo, Bravo 6, hold short of runway 8 right, then Echo 5, Foxtrot 5, 5 northwest, 5 southwest. Frontier Flight 1079.
Did you know that Atlanta is known as the city in a forest due to its abundance of trees? It's also the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. and home to the famous Coca-Cola. Thank you for flying with Frontier Airlines. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until we reach the final parking position. On behalf of Captain Steve Good, First Officer Brian Song, and the entire crew, we wish you a pleasant stay in Atlanta. The local time here is 10:44 p.m.
Sure as the world.
Atlanta ground, Empire 8 clear, 26 left, 4 southeast, 4 northeast, Foxtrot Echo, Delta 1828.